What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, it's a little bit different. I invited my man JC on here, and he's just going to ask questions as a beginner seller. He started, I think, a month ago, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
he's
right
very
around that.
new into the Amazon game, and he brought a bunch of questions that he's going to ask me, and we're just going to have a discussion. So JC, what's going on, my man?
How's it going, dude? Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's cool to be here.
Of course, of course. Real quick, do you just want to give sort of like a background perspective into who you are, what sort of experience you have with Amazon, and we'll get into it?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is JC. I'm currently married right now, so I do the business with my wife. So we kind of tag team it. Not too much experience with Amazon. Barely started, like how you're saying, about a month ago. I'm one of those where I watch way too many videos and didn't take action. So I feel like I've been watching Amazon videos how to do this for the past year, but never actually like bit the bullet and actually did it.
Yep.
So finally we're like, you know what, nothing's going to move unless we do something. So we're like, let's start the account, let's start looking, let's get stuff. And yeah, so we're really in our baby stages right now of learning everything, but it's been super cool, like just learning. We come from a background of flipping on eBay, but
Hmm.
nothing too big. We were like, going to Marshall's, flipping cleats and stuff like that. My wife got really into like thrifting, so like Goodwills, thrift stores, and using like Mercari, and some of these other apps to flip. But it was nothing
Right.
where we could like make a really big, we
Yep.
couldn't quit our jobs doing that. It was more just like, hey, we have a Saturday, let's just go try to make a couple bucks.
Yeah.
And so then seeing everybody like on the Amazon game, and it's just we said to ourselves, like, the opportunity is going to be a lot bigger. Like the game's bigger over here. So let's try to get in and take a piece of the pie. So yeah, we're learning, and everyone's been super awesome and super cool, like reaching out and giving information. I think that's the big thing, is like even when we were starting in the other industries, like you're by yourself, and
Right.
it's competition. Like if you see another seller in the store, you're like, I got to get there first, or what's he looking at? Let me go over there. Because it's a dog eat dog world out there. But
Hmm.
like with Amazon, it's been so cool because it's the complete opposite. Like just people reaching out, like, hey, how can I help? If you need anything, shoot me a DM. And
Yep.
I love that kind of community, because that's right up my alley. That's how we are. Like we're
Yeah.
good. If we have something to share, we want to share it. So it's been good, man. So that's just a little bit about us. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited because I think this is going to give some good perspective, because I know a lot of people that follow me on, specifically, obviously, this is going to be on YouTube, have a lot of beginner related questions that hopefully you can be the voice of a lot of people. So let's get
Yeah.
into it. Do you have your first question?
Yeah, for sure. So my main thing is, okay, so I've been watching some of your guys' videos on like how to keep a product finder, right?
Yep.
And I don't know what I did, but I think I messed up my setup, because I'm trying to make my setup look how yours, or even like Miles and stuff like that, how it looks. What would you say, especially in the first couple columns, like are the most important things to have there? Because I think mine's way too spread out, and I'm not able to get like information, like, I guess, to be able to look it up the way I'm supposed to. So what would you say, like maybe the first four columns, what should I be putting on there to look for?
So when you're on the like actual results page of Keep a Product Finder,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
because
so I would do first or second column is going to be the price chart, right? That's most important, because anytime, and I talk about this a lot, anytime we're looking at a product, we want to disqualify as quickly as possible, right? The really the net of sourcing is getting through the fluff as quick as possible. That's the biggest differentiator, how quickly you can disqualify, because that ultimately gets you to the next winning product and ultimately makes you more money. And so we
yeah,
really need that visual in terms of what's the trending like for the price, right? Because if a buy box has been trending down the past 3 months, well, that's going to be a pass. Just like if the
mhm,
offer count has been trending up, that's going to be a pass. And so having the visual of that keeper graph is going to be a huge benefit to be able to disqualify and move through products quickly and efficiently. Second would be
right,
the buy box, but I would also do the current buy box in right next to the 90-day buy box, right? Because that
okay,
gives us the past and present perspective. And hey, quick commercial break. I appreciate you guys supporting and following the channel. If you are enjoying this particular video, which I'm assuming you are if you're still watching it to this point, make sure you subscribe to the channel, scroll down, hit that subscribe button. Helps me out, helps the channel out. Let's get back to the content. In terms of the trending of the buy box, right? Something we talk about a lot is like the stability of different products. The more stable, the better the product. And so if the current buy box is right in line with the past 90-day average and the 180-day average, well, that signifies that it's a very stable environment a lot more of a beneficial environment to take part in. And then
For
obviously the
sure.
sales rank, right?
Yeah.
Anytime we're qualifying a product, it's going to be like 3 or 4 fold, right? Obviously price, velocity, competition, and then ease of purchase, like how efficiently you can acquire the product. Those first three, you can make those qualifying decisions really quickly by laying
Okay.
out your and setting yourself up for success in that way.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, because I think I was messing around with stuff, and I don't know what my setup was, and then when I'm trying to follow like your guys' lives or whatever, I'm like, I don't know what else. I don't see that, you know, like, or there's
Right.
certain graphs popping up, and I was like, man, like, but that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, to make I think that's the main thing between that and then also like just keep the charts, like to be able to look at stuff, and that's what I'm still learning right now is be able to look at graphs and see, okay, this is what I should be training for to make a more confident like buying decision
Hmm.
that hey, this is going to be good and this isn't going to be good. So that's what I'm still learning. I go back to you guys' videos all the time, like,
Right.
because I need to hone that skill, at the very beginning, but cool. Okay. So I got that down. So I'll go ahead and make those changes on mine because it does not look like that right
And then you
now.
can just click and drag, right? Even if you're in like the
Yeah.
details
Yeah.
of a specific product, right? For the variations, you can click and drag different columns to just make it more efficient to go through. And the same thing with Keeper Product Finder. Again, the name of
For
the
sure.
game is being as efficient and as efficient with that disqualification process as possible.
Okay. For sure. Sweet. Thanks. Something else I was just wondering about was I find like um, you guys get the heads up on a lot of like online deals or things when stuff pops. Is there like is that just from being in the email list of these companies and just tracking, like having everything tracked, or and you guys have it on calendars like going up, or how's that working for you guys?
So there's a couple of things involved with that, right? And so a lot of these sites have act according to a certain cadence, right? Take for example Kohl's, right? They'll have their Kohl's Cash online once or twice a month, right? They'll
Mm.
shut it off for a couple of weeks, turn it back on, and so there's like certain cadences on the micro level inside a specific month and across the year, right? Like Kohl's will do a huge back to school sale. Same with like some of the like Foot Locker and things like that. They'll ramp up some pretty big sales in the scope of a year, but also inside of a different month, especially in the like the example of a Coles Cash. So you'll kind
Yeah.
of get familiar with the different cadences that different sites operate with. But in addition to that, right, obviously you want to be joining all the different newsletters and email chains and things like that. So you'll sign up for like Nike's newsletter. So you get signified if there's a 30% off sale or things like that. And then the
Mhm.
third tier of that, third piece of that is just, and you're learning this pretty quickly, is just being in the community, right? Like
Yeah.
Miles and myself are pretty lucky where we're connected, right? We're putting out value. And so people are always bringing it back, right? People will send a message, Twitter DM, Instagram DM, oh, do you see this sale, this and that, right? And so we're pretty connected inside the community, just in different spaces. And so we're always having people kind of relay that sort of information. If we're not put onto it with any
Yeah.
of the email chains that we're personally on, we get a lot of notifications just from being in the community. A lot more motivation for people that are coming up in this space to put yourself out there, to put your face on camera,
Yeah.
to connect, to meet
Mhm.
people, and because that's just going to come back and benefit you later on.
Yeah, yeah. Just speaking on that, it's only been a week since I
Yep,
released that one
exactly.
video, and it's my whole business is on a different trajectory
Yeah,
if
of course.
than if I wouldn't have done that. So it's been super cool. So yeah, very cool. One that okay that I have is looking to see whether a product is better an FBA opportunity or an
Right.
FBM opportunity. Yeah, so like being able to differentiate, like, hey, maybe I should send a bunch of these in, or what's a quick flip? Like, what would you say? I mean, obviously, it's basis by basis on the product, like obviously, you know.
Hmm.
But is there something like where I don't know, like you
Yeah,
almost qualify it more for an FBM than an FBA?
absolutely. Yeah, and so the big thing is looking into the the buy box rotation. And so the beneficial thing inside that screen, if you go into the buy box details and you look at the rotation, is that it gives us insight into how much different percentages are going to different FBA or FBM offers, right? And so if you have a product and you're kind of trying to evaluate both of your options, you can look at the current buy box rotation and quantify what percentage of that buy box rotation is going to FBA and FBM. Reason being, if you have a product that you're willing to FBM, merchant fulfill, well, you want to join a market with that product that is the buy box rotations already favoring other merchant fulfill competitive offers, right? if we're comparing two different markets, one market is 100% going to FBA and another one is 60% FBA, 40% going to merchant fulfilled offers. Well, it's pretty clear which one of those is a lot more beneficial for you coming in with a merchant fulfill offer, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to get insight in terms of what sort of market you're looking to join with that specific product, and what the buy box rotation, what the algorithm has shown that it's willing to favor in the past, right? Because the past data
Okay.
is always going to be the biggest indicator of what's going to happen in the future, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking to approach a market and you're looking into a market and every single offer in the buy box rotation is FBA, and we can see there's other competitive offers that are FBM that are on the outside looking in, well, that's a telltale sign that you may as well be on the outside looking in with a merchant fulfill offer. And so now you have to FBA that offer, FBA that product to be competitive, right? In the same
Got it.
token, if we're looking at a product that's 100% of the buy box rotation going to merchant fulfilled offers, and you're looking to FBA, well, now there also may be opportunity to maybe increase and charge a premium, right?
Right.
Because you're likely going to get buy box favorability with the FBA offer over FBM. And so maybe you'll be able to charge $2 or $3, drive that price up a little bit, and take advantage of Amazon rewarding you for FBA.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Same
That.
thing in
Yeah.
terms of evaluating different markets. Same thing holds true with looking at your competition, right? We want to have insight in terms of the sorts of sellers that we're going to be competing against. And right. And so as you being a new seller, if we want to kind of scope out who our competition is. If you're looking at a product, say you're buying it from Walmart, and all 10 of those sellers have tens of thousands of reviews, well, it's likely we can deduce a couple things, right? A, we're competing with a huge sellers, right? And so they can likely price us out pretty quickly. And B, because of the size of their reviews as a seller, they're likely buying that product wholesale, likely at a lot
Mhm.
of a cost, likely can drive us out of the market just because of the nature of the supply chain, right? And so
Right.
as a newer seller, we want to kind of pick and choose our battles. Naturally, on a lot of the Nike listings and clothing and apparel and things like that, there's going to be a lot of OA sorts of sellers, signified by hundreds of reviews, not thousands. But if you then start to venture out into like the topicals, beauty, health and household, grocery, those sorts of things, that's just naturally going to be a lot more wholesalable products. And so we really want to be cognizant of who our competition is, right? Because one of the indicators of buy box favorability is the size of seller. And so if you
Yeah.
have 2 reviews looking to compete against 10 sellers that have tens of thousands of reviews, it's probably not going to end up in your favor super well.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. That totally makes sense. Yeah. Now. Yeah. I think painting that picture, as you're explaining, I was just seeing the pictures like, okay, percentages here and there, and then like, you want to hop in? Do you not want to hop in? But yeah, I think it's just more analysis, more data analysis before going in. It's more than just the price. Like, I think that getting out of that, because coming from that's what I'm trying to like rewire, I guess, my brain, because coming from just a straight flip, it's like, okay, I'm gonna profit, so let me just go. But now with Amazon, it's completely different because it really is about like the back data
Yep,
and all that
absolutely.
stuff if it's moving. So yeah,
I
just
mean,
getting used to that.
and the one thing I will mention, in addition to the FBA FBM conversation, is when we talk about sort of seasonal products, it adds a completely different layer and nuance to it, right?
Mm.
A lot of like take for example Halloween costumes. Halloween costumes in nature are something we have to be a lot more conservative with if we are FBAing, or merchant fulfill to have that risk mitigation, right? Because the worst
Yeah,
case scenario is we get stuck with hundreds of dollars of Halloween costumes on November 1st, right? That does no one any good because no one's going to buy them, right? And so if
right.
we see inside the Keepa data that there's a severe drop off in velocity and sales rank right after that holiday, well, A, if we're sending them into FBA, we have to be early and conservative in how deep we're going, or B, have that set of get out of jail free card where we can always maybe return it or something like that after the holiday if we're left with anything left over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally makes sense. Very cool. Um, okay, let me see. I have it here. Oh, how? Okay, how would you calculate? I guess on an average percentage of spend versus like how much profit you want to make. So if I'm trying to reach like a certain profit goal a month or something like that, like what's a good I guess calculation to try to figure out, okay, if I really want to hit this, then in general I need to spend about this much.
Yeah, and so that makes sense. And so this is something that I talk about a bunch, and I have a couple of YouTube videos on my channel going through the calculation. But for me, it all starts with the goal, the target, right? And in my mind, the only target that matters is profit, right? I don't care about sales, I
Yeah,
don't care about any of that. I care about profit dollars that are in my pocket after a specific month. And so that's where it starts, right?
yeah,
And so the way to track profit dollars ultimately to the goal of trying to evaluate target spend, there's a couple steps to get there. First and foremost, given a specific profit, what is your commitment to quality of those products inside your business? Is it 10% margin? Is it 15? Is it 20? That's the parameters in which you're buying. That's your commitment. That's the quality metric, right? That's kind of like the guidelines of what you're purchasing. And so if we start to like walk through the calculation, you start with a profit, right? Say we want to make 10,000 a month. And if we're committed to buying at, say, a 10% margin, well, that's easy math. 10,000 divided by 10%, that gives us to $100,000 in sales each and every month. That's going to yield the profit, right? But that's
yeah,
obviously not the end of the story, right? Because we have inputs and outputs in this business. The output, the sales, isn't necessarily something that's in our control. As much as we want to believe that, it's not, right?
yeah,
Customers dictate that. And so if we simply focus on the main input, the only input in this business, which is our spend, quality, consistent spend, we out everything else will fall into place. Right. And so in
right.
order to solve for spend from a sales target, which we're kind of working backwards from the profit, there's something that I call like a buy cost percentage, right? Which is
Okay.
essentially the relationship between how much I'm buying and how much I'm selling, right? If I'm buying stuff for $10, am I selling it for an average of 18, 22, 20? What's the relationship between every dollar invested in a buy cost and ultimately the revenue sales that's generated from that, right? And so the
Mhm.
buy cost percentage will obviously be related to the margin, right? As the quality
Yeah,
of products drop or increase, say we're increasing margin to 20%, well, naturally, you're going to have to spend less to generate the same amount of revenue, right? And
yeah,
so if, using our example, right, if we're at a 10% margin, that's going to correlate somewhere between like a 50 or 55, 60% buy cost percentage, right?
mhm,
And so that
yeah,
leads us to that last piece, right? Then we're at the $100,000 in revenue, multiply that by the 60%. That's going to lead us to about $60,000 of spend that leads to $100,000 of revenue, ultimately yielding $10,000 of profit,
profit. Yeah.
right? So you have to establish your margin, right? Your commitment to the business, and ultimately that buy cost percentage is related to the margin.
hmm
Does
And
that
then you
make
could even like, yeah, you could even geek it out more and just go like divided by weeks, divided by days, divided by like
exactly? Yeah.
order.
And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing is, and the natural kind of progression of our business is as you grow, your business nest egg, your capital grows. And right,
mhm,
it's not a secret that there's more 10% product, 10% margin products than 20, right? There's more
mhm,
15% margin products than 30. And so as our business grows, we just naturally strategically start to lower our margin just a tad by increasing buying opportunity. Opportunity cost is a big thing, right? And
yeah,
so allowing ourselves to say yes to more, right? Strategically just lowering that bar just a bit, we can spend more, sell more, and ultimately, and most importantly, profit more, right?
yeah,
And so
definitely,
maybe your
definitely.
business starts at like, because you have a restricted amount of capital, maybe your business starts at 17% margin. Well, as you grow, maybe you open another credit line, maybe you open up a loan, things like that. You have a friend that invests. Now you have all this extra money. Well, maybe from a 17% margin, maybe now you want to drop it to like 12 and a half or 13% or 10% margin, right?
Mhm.
Opening up a
Yeah,
ton more opportunity, right? There's a lot more 10% margin products that you can say yes to over 17.
yeah.
And so ultimately, yes, your margin is lowering a bit, but now you can spend a whole lot more, sell more, and most importantly, profit more.
hmm And then like speaking on like the profit right there, I know like starting off super early. I mean, we're like, I mean, we're still working our 9 to 5s, both my wife and I. We do this together. So like we have that coming in. Would you suggest, especially for new sellers like that are still working, just any profit at this very early stage, just
Oh yeah.
keep reinvesting it? Yeah, just like
Mhm.
don't even worry about it. Like don't even think about taking stuff out of it, or just
Oh
reinvest it
no,
back
yeah,
in,
don't.
right?
I mean,
Because
because I
it'll
mean,
that's the compounding right there.
yeah, because I mean, the business operates just like compounding interest. The more you have invested, the more you can make, and the more it
Yeah,
grows, right? And so,
yeah.
if you invested 5,000 in the business, well, your first iteration will turn 5,000 into maybe 5,700, and then 5,700 turns into 7,000, right? And ultimately, as you grow, 50,000 now turns into like 5,700, right?
hmm
And so, as your business grows, as you keep reinvesting the profits, that business is going to grow, and now you have more capability to do more damage. Right now,
Yeah.
with 70,000 in the business, now you may be able to start investing into some wholesale accounts, right? With a higher MOQ, having more leverage to open up accounts and better pricing and things like that. And so,
Mhm.
especially as you're working in 9 to 5, that's a big luxury because you're not reliant on those profits. Now you can keep the money baking and growing, and
Yeah.
allow yourself to grow that much quicker.
Yeah. I think that like because I feel like these past I would say week and a half has been us really like digging in and I guess buying more
Yep.
than what we
Hmm.
would just because of who we're talking to and recommendations stuff like that. So like we have more confidence in that because obviously we have confidence in the people we're talking to. So it's been kind of wild because we had a conversation the other day about like, hey, like, is this really going to turn? Because we're going to have to pay like we're going to have to pay that back, and all this other
Yep.
stuff. But I think it's just like having faith in the system and in the data and all that. And I think just at the very early stages that's still a something that's a little scary because it's like, yeah, you're putting a couple thousand down on some things, like, and we're for us, like, we wouldn't normally be doing that, not right now. Hopefully
Yeah,
we get
and
to
it's
that level where we're able to, but yeah.
yeah, and your experience share just compounds, right? You're
Mhm.
looking at keeper graphs, and maybe you see a little something that you're not sure whether what to make of it. But now, once you then can correlate an output to a keeper graph, you'll start to compound that information, right? You'll be
Yeah.
able to pick up the nuances that say, oh, this happened in this keeper graph that led to this output. I'm going to now look for that again. If I ever see that again, I have some sort of assimilation in terms of what will happen, right? And so it's just stacking thousands of keeper graphs that will inevitably look at and start to really being able to create that fluency and comprehensive understanding of, okay, this is what this product is telling me. This is what the product has done in the past 9 months. Now I'm going to use this, construct a really accurate implementation in terms of what it will do, and now go from there, right? Because
Yeah.
how this business gets powerful is that we're not looking for the next 2 or 3 units, right? We're not hopping from this unit, 2 units here, 5 units there, 7 units here. We're trying to stack units. We're trying to stack products. And so we're looking to be able to onboard products to our catalog that we can sell for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, right? And in doing so, looking for those macro level products, I find a 3 month product that I expect to be able to obviously restock, replenish for 3 months today. I find another one
Mhm.
next week, and I keep stacking those, right? Our business is going to stack on top of itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if I put 3 hours in, invest in it, I source and find one product. Well, every time I restock and replenish that product, the value of the time invested into that product exponentially grows, right?
Grows.
And
Yeah.
so the power of this business is really embedded in sort of that restockability, the replenishability of the products that we're looking for.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's that whole feeding the beast like
Yeah.
mentality. Is
Hmm.
like you just gotta. I think that was our little thing that we had a hiccup on at the very beginning because obviously our first product it was just a little test and
Yeah.
it wasn't hardly anything. We're just like, let's see if this works, and sent it in, and in one weekend it sold out. And we
Hmm.
were like, shoot, well, we didn't think about replenishing. We didn't think about, hey, we should send something else. So now we're in kind of like that gap period
Yeah.
of obviously not seeing anything, but that's okay. Like now it's every day trying to do something, send something out
Hmm.
and get that going again. Cool. Last one that I had, this is just a personal one. What are some good like credit cards? Is there specific credit cards that are like that are beneficial for like online sellers like us, like that'll give us more benefit compared to maybe some of the other ones that are, I don't know,
Yeah, and so the
just
big one that
normal.
I recommend to a lot of people, especially getting going, is the MX Plum. Reason
Mhm.
being is as it extends your payoff period. It gives you a 60-day payoff period, interest free, on every
Yeah.
single turn of your money, right? And so that's
Wow.
powerful because especially getting going, it just stretches your money out a little bit more, right?
Mhm.
And it just gives you a little bit more flexibility, right? And then if you couple that Plum card, which obviously you have the 60-day payoff period, with sort of maybe merchant fulfilling, well, now you buy something today, it's at your house in 3 days, it's listed, and now it's sold, and now you have that money back in 2 or 3 weeks, right? You can turn your money a lot quicker, right? Or you
Yeah.
do retail arbitrage, right? You go to the outlets, buy something listed that same day, it's sold the following. Now you have that money back in 2 weeks, well before the 60-day payoff period, right?
Mhm.
You can't necessarily waiver from time cycle to time cycle with FBA, because obviously like the account reserve period and things like that. It just takes a little bit longer for the money back period. But the 60 days just is, it gives you more flexibility in terms of that payoff period, allows you to stretch your money out a little bit more.
For sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think especially like right now at the beginning, yeah, getting qualified for that would be a huge help. Like just
Yeah,
having
of
that
course.
extra time period and learning, because there might be some stuff that we pick up that isn't moving as fast. So
Hmm.
yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, that's everything that I have, man. Like obviously, if I have more questions, I know where I
Yeah,
can
of
reach
course.
you
That's it.
and doing stuff. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I appreciate you coming on here, man.
yeah, thanks for having me. It's a big thing, and then like I said, still learning,
That's
and
it.
your videos have been awesome, and I love your guys' lives. So hopefully one day I'll get big enough, I'll hop on a live with you guys, and we could talk numbers and stuff like that. So that's the goal down the road.
Yes, sir. Hey, where can people follow you on social media?
So on Instagram, Twitter, and I started a TikTok. It's JC Medina FBA. You just search that, you'll find me. Look for the black hat.
Awesome, man. Obviously, people, JC's a pretty open dude. He's been a new addition to the community in the past week, so reach out to him, say what's up, connect, and we're going to continue to build this thing, my man. I appreciate you being on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, man.